Okay, so we're going to talk about one more thing. Have you heard about the Polestar 2?
Yeah, it looks great. I was actually reading some articles and looking at pictures of it, and it's the second one. So it's Volvo's electric vehicles. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a tricky word to say, isn't it?
Volvo.
Volvo. Yeah, it's funny when I grew up, actually one of my best friends, my mom and dad would always drive around in a Volvo, and
Yes.
those things lasted forever, Matt.
Yeah, they do.
My whole friendship, we were in the same car, and it must have lasted them 20 years because
Yeah.
they're just so easy to fix and they're such a great engine. It's funny though, Volvos, they're kind of a fancier car now. I think I was fooled when I was younger into thinking that, middle class people have Volvos because now that I'm older and see how fancy they are,
Yeah.
it really is something that upper middle class typically will get. But they're great cars, great engines. The Polestar is actually, they're under Volvo, so they aren't actually a Volvo. That's the parent company, but
Okay.
they do borrow a lot of looks and a lot of the factories that they use to create them
A
is
lot of
help.
parts as well,
Yeah,
I'm
a lot
sure.
of exactly.
Like the wipers and yeah.
So let's talk about the difference between the Polestar 1 and the Polestar 2. So this new Polestar 2, it isn't as sleek, but it does carry the design language of the brand with a bit of Volvo's visual heritage thrown in for good measure. The car itself is a little bit beefier than its predecessor, both in the front and the back, but you can see Volvo's influence everywhere, from the headlights to the interior. It's clear how closely the sub brand relies on its automotive parent. But it's more than just a stylized headlights and steering wheels. This is a really great car. It starts out at $40,000, which is actually pretty comparable to the Model Y, which is kind of the SUV darling right now that everyone's talking about.
Hmm.
Um, so the range is about 275 miles, which is awesome. And it's 408 horsepower, and you can go from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. So this is putting it directly against the Model 3 and the Model Y. Here's the problem with the Polestar 2. It's probably not even going to start being released until next year.
Yeah.
And when it comes out next year, the launch edition is going to cost $63,000. And look, a lot can happen in the next 2 years. And so in the next 2 years, Tesla is going to be selling all of these Model 3s, possibly the Model Y. And then if they try to launch, I mean, they're kind of behind in the game, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, just about everybody's behind Tesla. Everybody's playing catch up. In fact, when Tesla first came out, and Elon Musk kind of highlighted this when he announced the Model Y on Thursday, I was actually in my hotel room in Toronto, and it was 11:30 at night when he
And he
finally
pulled it
showed
out.
us the Model
That's right.
Y.
Because he did it in El Segundo in Los Angeles, right? So
Yeah,
Pacific
that's
time.
right. And I was like,
Sorry.
oh, it's so late. But I had lots of work to do, so I was up anyways. But he basically pointed out that when Tesla first came out and said, hey, we're going to make this all electric car, and everybody laughed at him and said, no, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to work. And now look at everybody playing catch up. So Ford is making a massive investment. Volvo. You can edit that. So
I don't think
Volvo's
we are. We're keeping it in.
keeping it in, doing it live. We're doing it
Do it
live.
live.
So Volvo's going all in, and Volkswagen's going all in. You're losing it. So, anyways, all these big monster companies are doing catch up. And by the time they catch up, what's Tesla going to do next, right? So, and Tesla looks like they've actually turned a profit. So it's not like they're just constantly borrowing money. And I don't know, did you watch any of the Model Y presentation?
I did, but I have to name one company that you didn't mention. Toyota.
Toyota,
I
yeah,
am so
Honda.
frustrated with them because our family is so funny. We all have Toyotas,
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah,
Like we all had a Corolla. Mom
Corollas.
and dad do, you do. Our
Yeah.
brother Joe did. But here's the thing. Toyota years ago decided that they were going to go all in on hybrid technology.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, my Corolla is almost 5 years old, so I thought, maybe I'll start looking at updating it in the next year or two. And so I went on their website, looked at the 2020 edition. There's no all electric option.
Hmm.
It is all hybrid. And I thought that was so ridiculous. So I did a Google search, and sure enough, they don't have plans to do an all electric car anytime soon because their batteries are all hybrid. All of the money that they've invested in is hybrid.
Yeah.
And so thank goodness Volvo is doing this all
Yeah.
electric. These other companies are, and thank goodness for Tesla, right?
It's mostly the European companies that made the first announcement, and that could be because of the incentives that the European Union has for these companies to go all electric, environmental wise, things like that. So you can see that, yes, it was first Tesla that really proved the concept. People have been looking at electric cars for a long time. And then the European companies started announcing Jaguar is, I mean, technically they're Ford, but they used to be a British company, and Volkswagen and BMW, Mercedes, they're all going all electric, but they're so far behind, Dan, and there's so much infrastructure that they have to build specifically around the
The
batteries.
battery, yeah, and they don't
Yeah.
have the big battery plant in Nevada that Tesla has, and
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. I'm really excited with this Polestar too. It made me happy to see this. Remember, we did the Rivian truck. We did that review a few
Hmm.
podcasts back. You guys can look it up. We'll link it to it in our notes. It's great that we're getting competition and that it's going to really just drive the price down for the consumer and make it so that we're going to be doing all electric SUVs, all electric trucks for cheaper. And so this is great to see this in the marketplace.
Yeah, there was another announcement just the other day, and I'm gonna call this one the wrong name too. Let's see if I can find it here. But they announced another SUV. I think it's Fisker or something like that, and it's their second one that they've announced, but they haven't produced anything. And oh, it's gonna do everything that a Tesla can do. It's gonna be more like the Model X, but the price of the Model Y, and it's gonna have 500 miles to the battery. And okay, that's great. Where's your product, right?
Well, that's true. And people are really struggling, but Hyundai's got the Kona that people are really liking now.
That's true. And I think it's 200 miles to the battery. And you know what? It looks great. And when you compare it to the Chevy Volt, which was like the first one that really came out, that, yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid, but it's really an all electric powertrain. And the only thing that gas is used for is a little generator to
Nice.
get you a little bit more. So you could really call the Chevy Volt was the first real full production
Mhm.
electric vehicle other than what Tesla was putting out. There's probably a few little startups here and there that somebody might say, "You're wrong. It's this one," but it's the first mass production one. And so if you compare the Chevy Volt to the Hyundai Kona, it's just no comparison. I would pick the Hyundai. The Nissan Leaf is nice too, but take the Hyundai. You get way
Yeah.
more range, and range anxiety is a real thing.
Well, and not only that, but that leaf is so small.
Yeah,
There's
like
people that
a
where I work that pull into it, and I'm like, that's a clown car. Anyway,
it's a
that's
Kinder
our.
Surprise, and you open it up, and you're the surprise.
You're the surprise.